nobody there. Sky is falling, metal rain, chaos mornings, no one's sane. Crumbling towers, streets in flames, forgotten heroes, who knows their names. Broken future, shattered dreams, end of times ain't what it seems.
Hello friends, it's Sam Cheney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, May 22nd, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Going into Memorial Day weekend here now. Thank you for joining us. Some people are coming online right now, I see. Welcome, welcome. We have quite a bit of news to get to today. It's being reported now. The latest is that Trump is not going to his son's wedding, and the biggest thing is that he's not going to get to golf this weekend. Apparently he's back at the White House in the situation planning room, so it's looking like we're going to go back hot and heavy bombing Iran again here now. That's the latest. We'll go over the details here now that have developed today, or I don't know, last couple hours, it appears. We'll take a look at that. Where are we at? Iran, what's Iran saying? So we'll take a look at that. Tulsi Gabbard resigned. Take a look at that. We got a bunch of economic news. Oh, does anybody even care? I didn't even put it in the headline this time. Does anybody even care? The U.S. Department of War released the second tranche of UFO UAP videos. We'll take a look at it. It's still pretty sketchy. Pretty sketchy videos there. We'll take a look at some of those. Oh, Howard Lutnick, the next scam just rolled out. Howard Lutnick says we're gonna have data centers in space. So the next scam just rolled out, led by Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, Epstein's neighbor. So it's the level of fraud and scam is just, we've never seen anything like this. We got economic news. We're going to take a look at surprisingly old Axios, Aardvark mouthpiece, says that Trump is profiteering off his presidency more. Well, they say the headline out of Axios says Trump is cashing in on the presidency like no president ever has. We'll take a look at that. It's just unbelievable levels of corruption. And MAGA loves it. MAGA loves being lied to, psyoped, and stolen from. They'll probably love being bent over and by Trump as well. I mean, man, talk about Stockholm syndrome, sadomasochism, and loving the abuse. That is MAGA here now. So it's wow, we're in a sad state of affairs. We're going to cover that. We got geopolitical news. I'm going to read through this communique from the Russian government. It's not that long, but it needs to be read through about their big meeting with China. There was a big attack by Ukraine on Russia. Take a look at that. Russia's all pissed off, says they're going to retaliate. Yeah, it's not good. It's just all bad. Stop it, guys. Stop it. Putin's evil, YouTube. Better believe it. What else do we got? We got, Aardvark's bragging about, well, they say they need to use psychological warfare and psyops because people are noticing that something's not quite right about them. So time for some more Aardvark tricks. We got other geopolitical news. We'll cover that. Oh, the leveling of southern Lebanon continues. The ethnic cleansing genocide there continues, tragically enough. And then they're still whacking Gaza. And we have more testimony now from the flotilla activists that they're tortured. They're essentially, I put it in the headline there, yeah, super sadistic torture. We'll take a look at that, as is the aardvarks thing to do to people. But this time they did it to white people, and Europe's pretty pissed off about it. And so I don't think the old "don't be antiseptic" rhetoric is going to work on this one, because they beat the hell out of some white girls. So I don't know. Maybe it's just, anything goes. Just don't call me antiseptic. So we'll cover all that and much more on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Thank you for joining us. I see people coming online right now. Shout out to Ruckus. Ruckus says, is your show going to be, is that after Boiler Room, after Weaponized News? Let me know and we'll plug it here and try to send some Weaponized News listeners over there. Shout out to Mac. All right, guys, let's get to this day in history. And we'll get to all this news for you. Okay, on this day in history of May 22nd, we go back to the year 1370, and they were noticing, I know, antiseptic. On this day in 1370, aardvarks are expelled and massacred in Brussels, Belgium. I'm telling you, man, these guys ain't right. 1455. But again, the aardvarks are being scapegoated by the Anglo-American establishment intelligence. Okay? So let's get all of it straight. But they are evil beyond even our comprehension. So they do make a great scapegoat. Okay. On this day in 1455, Wars of the Roses, opening battle in England's 30-year Wars of the Roses. Richard of York takes St. Albans, capturing King Henry IV, kicking off that 30-year War of the Roses on this day, 1455. On this day in 1803, the first U.S. public library opens in Connecticut. Start of reading is a conspiracy theory. Even having libraries is a conspiracy theory. So very dark time there for America, opening of the first U.S. public library. On this day in 1856, violence in the Senate. South Carolina Rep. Brooks uses a cane on Massachusetts Senator Charles Sumner. And so, yeah, he beat him up with a cane over there. I think the dispute was over slavery, probably about the Civil War, North-South, and the like there. But, yeah, we need to bring back cane beatings to the U.S. Senate. I think that would to add to the bread and circus show. In 1868, on this day, we saw a train robbery at Marshfield, Indiana, by the Reno Brothers gang. They made away with an estimated $98,000. That's quite a bit of money in 1868. 1872, on this day, the heck, the 1872 date. Oh, we saw the Amnesty Act restore civil rights to Southerners, except for 500 after the U.S. Civil War. 1942, on this day, Mexico declares war on Nazi Germany and Japan. 1964, President Lyndon Baines Johnson presents his vision for the Great Society, calling for an end to poverty and racial injustice and outlining broad reforms in education, healthcare, civil rights, and the environment. The creation of the modern day welfare state there. And now all those things are worse than ever because you get them everything the government touches turns to shit. Yeah, it certainly does. And they only make everything that much more worse. On this day in 1973, then President Richard Nixon confesses to his role in the Watergate cover-up. It's not the crime, it's the cover-up, right? On this day in 1980, Pac-Man, the video game, was released in Japan. And in 2022, report released on sexual abuse in U.S. Southern Baptist Convention, the country's largest Protestant denomination, details 20 years of suppressing many allegations of sexual abuse. Quite horrific there. And then on this day in our civil liberties history, we go back to the year 1920. Henry Ford's newspaper publishes notorious forged antiseptic document. Famed automobile manufacturer Henry Ford owned the Dearborn Independent, which published a series of antiseptic articles on this day. Through early October 1920, the series was based on the allegedly forged antiseptic document, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. But go look at that, you know what I mean, and remove the skepticism and take a look, and it's like what they're doing, you know what I mean? So forged or whatever, whoever wrote that thing, it's pretty damn close to the agenda, I would say. Ford did not publish the protocols themselves, as some people believe. Instead, he published a series of articles based on the protocols, allegedly, right? I'll throw that in there. What about that? Which were no less antiseptic. Ford issued an apology in 1927 for publishing the series, but there was much controversy over the sincerity of his apology. The damage was done since the series was reprinted into a short book, The International Aardvark, which has been published around the world and continues to circulate to this day. I know that evil man, Henry Ford, trying to warn America about what are these international aardvarks up to. No good. That's what. All right. And here's our segue to the news. Trump at a rally. I think this was in New York earlier today. It just don't hit. Like, it's just, he's a lame duck at this point. He's a lame duck, and it just all falls short because he's a fraud.
He's a dumb person. I said, Doctor, I don't mind being called a brilliant, total tyrant dictator, but I don't want to be called dumb. What do I do, doctor? Is there some kind of a test I can take? He said, actually, sir, there is. It's a cognitive test.
Sorry, Trump, it doesn't hit anymore. Here's Trump pushing more Q propaganda BS right out of the White House. White House X account. Yeah, he's a white hat. Democrats, no panicins, doomers, and fake news. It's played out, bro. You're full of shit. But apparently some people still trust the plan out there. Good luck to you. Trump shared this, another giant fraud. If they ever did build this thing, Golden Dome for the White House. Yeah. They got missile defense. They got all the defenses, but they piss the world off to the point where they attack us. They're going to be hiding out in their bunkers with their Golden Dome, if it even works, if any of this is even real. Probably not. Probably just another fraud. But the rest of us are left hung out to dry, you see. We don't get a bunker. The government doesn't even, they're not doing anything. Okay, the government should be saying, hey, Maybe subsidize some bunkers for the citizens, for the taxpayers. Maybe start a campaign to grow your own garden, to do something. It's just no, worship this orange piece of garbage, man. It's just so over the top disgusting. Here's Trump. He is fake and gay. Okay, Trump is fake and gay.
And also, darling, when you're leaving and they have that song, the gay national anthem, if you remember. That's why I did so well with the gay vote, I think, because of that song. I did great with the gay vote, better than any Republican's ever done by far. But my wife, the First Lady, very elegant woman. That's why people love the women went to see that movie.
The women, he says the women went to see the Melania movie 15 times. It was total bomb garbage. He's just such a lie. He's a con man. That's what he is, a carnival barking con man. According to a report out of the Wall Street Journal, mediators are scrambling to secure a stopgap deal between Iran and the United States to prevent a new U.S. aardvark land strike that officials warn could come within days, could come within at any time, apparently, here now. Pakistan, Qatar, and other regional players are trying to bridge gaps over Iran's nuclear program, sanctions relief, and regional security. Iran keeps saying they're not giving up their nuke program. They're not giving up their uranium. And Trump says, well, they're going to nuke us in 2 weeks. They can't have a nuke. So that lie is what he's basing our foreign policy on, essentially, here now. So it's looking like it may crank up hot and heavy at any time. Iran said no deal is close. A nuclear issue is off the table for now. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson said Friday that Pakistan's army chief's visit represented a continuation of diplomacy and not a breakthrough. He also confirmed that Qatari delegation met with Foreign Minister Odysee today. On the state of talks, they said, we cannot say we have reached a point where a deal is close. No, it is not like that. The focus of these negotiations is on ending the war. At this stage, nuclear-related topics are not on the agenda. And they also said, how can you even send these guys to negotiate when they literally know none of the technicals about any nuclear anything? Well, who cares? Jared Kushner's there to start another war, you see. On Qatar and diplomacy, Qatar, some countries are trying to offer their good offices to help end the war and prevent escalation, which we value. But our official mediator in Pakistan on nuclear rights, we are members of the NPT and have the right to use nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. We have stated our positions on highly enriched uranium very clearly. Yeah, they're not giving it up. They already said that. On why nuclear talks are deferred, they say if we try to discuss these topics at this stage, we will not reach a result. We went down this road before. The differences were so great, we could not reach an agreement. And the other side destroyed the negotiating table with its unreasonable demands and committed a crime by attacking Iran. Indeed, remember, before February 28th, before the weekend it kicked off, there was negotiations with Oman. Dude from Oman was being the mediator there. And he said everything. He's like, yeah, we took a break for the weekend. We're going to come back. It's like everything's going, looks like it's going okay. It's going smooth. And no, not so much. Bomb Iran. So that's what they're talking about. We're on Groundhog Day loop. It's the same routine. Give up your nukes. You can't have a nuke program. They say no, and it's just on loop here now. Where are we at? That was a report out of who was that out of? ISNA. Iran closes airspace over the west of the country, except for daytime only flights. Fike Turks News Network reporting that. And here's a map of Iran. I know these bastards in Iran built their country. We had military bases here, right here. And it's like, you damn Iranians, how dare you build your country around all our military bases? But so, yeah, airspace cut off there. So Iran's preparing for another attack by America. Trump is now on the verge to attack Iran once again, Axios says. And of course, they're big aardvark mouthpiece. So they're pushing that narrative, obviously. Trump has grown increasingly frustrated in the past few days over the current state of negotiations with Iran and has raised the possibility of one final major military operation, after which he would unilaterally declare victory and end the war. Clown world. A U.S. official briefed on the diplomatic efforts described the negotiations as agonizing, saying draft proposals are going back and forth every day with little meaningful progress being made. Not good. So, what, Trump's going to bomb them one more time, according to Axios, and then say that we won, and Khomeini will still be in charge, and the Strait of Hormuz will still be closed, and Iran will still have all of their capabilities and their nuke program? Wow, I don't see how Trump could do that and save face, but he could just lie about anything, and his supporters love it, so maybe that is the strategy. We'll have to see here now, going forward. Tulsi Gabbard has resigned. Unfortunately, after having done a great job, Tulsi Gabbard will be leaving the administration on June 30th. Her wonderful husband, Abraham, has been recently diagnosed with a rare form of bone cancer, and she rightfully wants to be with him, bringing him back to good health as they currently fight a tough battle together. I have no doubt he will soon be better than ever. Tulsi has done an incredible job, and we will miss her. Her highly respected principal deputy director of national intelligence, Aaron Lucas, will serve as acting director of national intelligence. That's what Trump Post had to say about it. Here's Tulsi's resignation letter. She says, I am deeply grateful for the trust you placed in me and for the opportunity to lead the office of the Director of National Intelligence for the last year and a half. Unfortunately, I have to submit my resignation effective June 30th, 2026. My husband, Abraham, has been diagnosed with an extremely rare form of bone cancer. He faces major challenges in the coming weeks and months. At this time, I must step away from public service to be by his side and fully support him through this battle. Abraham has been my rock throughout our 11 years of marriage, standing steadfast through my deployments to East Africa on a joint special operations mission, multiple political campaigns, and now my service in this role. His strength and love have sustained me through every challenge. I cannot, in good conscience, ask him to face this fight alone while I continue in this demanding and time-consuming position. While we have made significant progress at the Office of Director of National Intelligence, advancing unprecedented transparency and restoring integrity to the intelligence community, I recognize there is still important work to be done. I am fully committed to ensuring a smooth and thorough transition over the coming weeks so that you and your team experience no disruption in leadership or momentum. Thank you for your understanding during this deeply personal and difficult time for our family. I will remain forever grateful to you and to the American people for the profound honor of serving as our nation as DNI, Director of National Intelligence. So she's gone. They warned, right? I wish her well and her husband gets well. But it looks like part of it, at least, this may be a cover. Who knows? But U.S. intelligence said Iran's not an imminent threat. That's what caused Joe Kent to resign. It's been testified in front of the Senate Armed Force Committee. You know what I mean? So maybe it's her husband. Maybe it's a combination. But she's out. So no more rogue ex-woman. What did they do? They declassify. Well, she said Obama committed treason, right? They put out a bunch of press releases saying that nothing happens. Like, oh, yeah, dude committed treason. Just like they shrugged their shoulder. So good job. Golf clap there. You know what I mean? All these pretty strong accusations, former President Barack Hussein Obama, and they laid out the whole thing, right? The whole conspiracy against Trump. Nothing happened. So whoop-de friggin' dude. They're still spying on everybody, gathering up everybody's metadata electronic communications that are at the NSA. And Trump signed off on the legal 702 warrantless spying as well. So another golf clap. You're really looking out for our natural rights there, intelligence agency. Good job, losers. Let's see here now. Let's hear from NASA. They're just throwing psyop after psyop in our face, laughing at us. But here's from the space station to deep space. Here's the your NASA minute.
From the space station to the red planet, NASA's missions continue moving forward. Here's what's new this week in your NASA Minute. On Thursday, NASA officially welcomed Matt Anderson as the agency's 16th Deputy Administrator, following his confirmation by the U.S. Senate earlier in the week. A retired U.S. Air Force colonel with decades of experience in space operations and national security, Anderson will help lead NASA's missions in exploration, science, and aeronautics as the agency pushes toward the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Welcome to NASA, Matt. This week, NASA's Psyche spacecraft flew past Mars using...
They call it Psyche, their spacecraft. They're literally telling you they're running psyops. These are freaking cards. They even look down here. You can't see it. Animation. They just give us cartoons. We're in space, bro. It's a freaking cartoon.
The planet's gravity to slingshot itself deeper into the solar system on its journey to study the asteroid Psyche. Stunning new images of the red planet were...
They named an asteroid Psyche. I mean, they're just throwing it in our face.
Captured, including views of craters, the planet's horizon, and its south polar ice cap. A SpaceX Dragon spacecraft successfully arrived at the International Space Station this week, carrying over 6,000 pounds of supplies and scientific research for the Expedition 74 crew. Among the experiments delivered were studies focused on astronaut health, space weather, and Earth observation, continuing more than 25 years of scientific research aboard the orbiting laboratory. Coming up next week, NASA will provide a moon base update. Be sure to tune in to hear more about our progress in establishing humanity's first lunar outpost. Whether in orbit, on the way to an asteroid, or preparing for the moon, NASA's mission of exploration and discovery continues every day. We'll see you next.
It's going to be interesting to see how they pull off this whole moon base op. And so the next scam here rolled out today by Howard Lutnick. He says data centers in space are coming. Let's watch this video.
Data centers should be in space. AI compute should be in space. Space power is free and cooling is free.
Can you sort of explain how that would work?
So data centers in space, or AI compute in space, is basically taking a simplified satellite and basically putting more compute chips on them with a much larger solar array. We approached the FCC and we have a million satellites worth in AI compute constellation.
A million satellites?
A million satellites.
Does solar work amazingly in space? Because
Solar-
you don't have the atmosphere and you don't have the things in the way?
It's always sunny in space.
It just follows the sun all around
That's
and
correct.
all around and all around.
That's correct.
That makes a lot of sense.
Data
No
centers belong in
atmosphere
space.
and it follows the sun.
That's exactly right.
All right, that's cool. We look
Yeah.
forward to you getting it done.
So that's exciting. The dog got fired up over here. Yeah, data centers in space, and you always get sun because they don't chemtrail in space. It's all fraud. It's all made up, but they're going to put $1 gazillion into this. It's just ridiculous. Led by Howard Lutnick. We got more on him in the Epstein section of the show. The Pentagon released dozens of new videos of unidentified flying objects. Here's a report about it on Good Morning America.
We're back now with an ABC News exclusive. The Pentagon releasing dozens of new videos of unidentified flying objects, incidents that the government still cannot explain, plus an account of a mysterious sighting near a sensitive U.S. military facility last year. Jay O'Brien is in Washington with the latest. Jay, good morning.
Whit, good morning to you. Much of what you're about to see has never been public before. The Pentagon now releasing another batch of its so-called UFO files after they were declassified by President Trump. And this morning, we got an exclusive first look. This morning, the GMA exclusive, more than 50 videos and other documents detailing strange objects in the sky, many of which the military can't explain, released in the second batch of the Pentagon's so-called UFO files. Inside never-before-seen video like this from 2024, the Coast Guard picking up this object as it flew near a plane over the southeastern U.S., and this taken by the U.S. military over Syria in 2021, following an unidentified object before it suddenly speeds off. The service member who submitted the video labeling it instant acceleration. Others seen flying in apparent formation. All part of over 200 files released so far detailing what the military officially calls unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP, better known as UFOs, long an object of public fascination.
They want to find out about the UFOs and anything having to do with UFO or related material.
The files made public on order of President Trump, who earlier this month touted complete and maximum transparency, leaving it up to the public to, quote, decide for themselves what the hell is going on. In the newly released records, this video from 2020, taken in an undisclosed area under U.S. Central Command, appearing to show a sphere flying over a population center, the pilot getting a closer look before it eventually flew higher off into the sky. And this account from a senior U.S. intelligence officer just last year, describing seeing two large orbs flare up alongside their helicopter while on a mission, saying they were orange with a white or yellow center and emitted light in all directions. Fighter jets then scrambled to identify the objects, but couldn't, the officer recounts, then writing, the same orbs we had encountered were now chasing the fighters. We were virtually speechless after these observations. After multiple investigations, the government has found no evidence any of these incidents are of an extraterrestrial nature, but military officials admit many remain unresolved and cannot be explained. And inside these files, there were some videos that certainly were not UFOs, like one of the government shooting down what was believed to be a balloon over Lake Huron in 2023, but a lot to go through here, guys.
All right, I'm sure that explains it. Everyone's convinced.
Garbage. Here's what they put out. us.gov/UFO. Some sketchy looking stuff. So the first tranche of these UFO files was released May 8th, earlier this month. And the second tranche today, obviously. And yeah, I don't know. Scroll through them here. Go to Again, go to war.gov/UFO and go take a look. But yeah, really? Testimonies of the orbs. This document is a CIA intelligence information sheet that describes human intelligence gathering activities in the Soviet Union. First-hand account by a currently serving U.S. senior intelligence official that the official was part of a team investigating reports of unusual noises and sightings of unidentified anomalous phenomena in and near a sensitive U.S. military facility in late 2025. And then a sick NASA logo there. Well, I'm convinced we need one world government to save us from aliens, bro. You know what I mean? What was this one? More of these records. The Department of War posted this, so they want us to know about this one. They say, this file contains 116 pages of documentation from the Armed Forces Special Weapons Program, the direct post-World War II successor to the Manhattan Project, and from the U.S. Air Force relating to a series of sightings and investigations in Sadaya, New Mexico from 1948 to 1950. This file contains 209 sightings of, quote, green orbs, quote, discs, and, quote, fireballs reported near the military base. Witnesses reported unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAP, maneuvering, flying out of sight, disappearing, or exploding. The documents also include the results of contemporary investigations into residual copper powder found in some areas where sightings were reported. A few of these investigations became the basis for Project Grudge, which collected reports of unidentified flying objects from various other military installations, also included in this collection. So they're declassifying these documents right here. There they are from 1949. One's what, 1950? They want us to know about that, about green orbs, discs, and fireballs. Allegedly, according to these reports. Yeah. Like what is this? Literally, who knows? It could be it could be a camera trick for all we know, right? It could be a lot of things. Who knows? But this one, the White House posted this one, so they want us to see this one for some particular reason. Not much more. An orb. Not much proof of anything, actually. UAP from December 2019 off the East Coast is likely derived from an infrared sensor aboard a U.S. military platform operating within the United States Northern Command area of responsibility in 2019. Like, what are they talking? Remember all those preachers? They said we got briefed by intelligence, and it's going to change the world. Isn't it change how you see God and your religion and your really, bro? For that, Really? Not impressed, honestly. It's a big yawn. It's a big yawn here so far. Yeah, I don't know. There's a couple videos. They're chasing something, maybe. Not really very conclusive of anything. Like the government says, make up your own mind about what the hell's going on, as Trump says there. Not much proof of anything, honestly. Reports, first-hand testimonies. There's something, maybe. But as far as here's your freaking gray alien, bro, that's actually some kind of entity that they're doing occult rituals to summon up, a la freaking Aleister Crowley. You know what I mean? It's like they give us nothing here, honestly. But it's going to change, though. It's going to change your worldview. And how all those preachers, remember? Well, they got snowed in a psyop, obviously, unless there's something else that we're missing. I'm just not seeing it here, sadly enough. All right. Let's continue to the Epstein section. Old defrocked prince over there, Andrew. He's being investigated over potential sex crimes in the UK, they say, in relation to his being all up in the Epstein files. Andrew, who has previously denied any wrongdoings, was arrested earlier this year on suspicion of misconduct in public office following the release of the Epstein files. And so now UK saying they're investigating him over potential sex crimes. Detectives are keen to speak to a woman who claims she was taken to the former prince's home in Windsor for sexual purposes. At least in UK, they act like they're publicly ashamed, like they act like this stuff's wrong, which it is, and evil. Here in America, Trump says it's just a Democrat hoax. Well, the Democrat hoax chased old Prince Andrew out of his royalty, essentially, right? So, wow, that's a hell of a Democrat hoax, I would say. And then the Howard Lutnick mask sure looks a hell of a lot like Howard Lutnick to me. What do you guys think? Looks like Howard Lutnick, right? This is the mask that they found. One of the masks, that's funny. But this is the actual mask on the wall that they found in that dentist chair setting with a bunch of weird masks all around. Definitely look like fear-based, trauma-based, MK Ultra style mind controlling operation there, with the dentist chair and these weird masks going on, looking suspiciously like Howard Lutnick. Epstein had a dentist chair in his bathroom in his Palm Beach mansion, had no dentist license. Police found it during the 2015 or 2005 search. It was gone when FBI searched in 2019. Glad they gave him all that time to cover it up. Oh, Howard Lutnick, we're gonna get data centers in space. Sure, bud. He's running another scam. Lutnick donated $5 million to House Republicans before Epstein testimony, literally bribing them with $5 million. That's a report out of the failing New York Times. Howard Lutnick's literally bribing Congress over Epstein to further cover up, not pressure them, and the like there. He donated $5 million to Trump's super PAC in 2024. Lutnick gave the money to Congressional Leadership Fund, the main super PAC behind House Republicans and Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. So he gave some to Trump. He gave some to Mike Johnson. And so straight up bribe to cover it up. I mean, give me a friggin' break. It's beyond the pale of disgusting. Yeah. Howard Lutnick donated $5 million to House Republicans before testifying to the House Oversight Committee about his business dealings with Epstein. And then here's the controversial photo with him and Epstein. When the DOJ first released the Epstein files, they played around with this photo. They put it up and then pulled it down and then put it back up. And Epstein, and in that time, Lutnick was denied that he had anything to do with it. And they're like, bro, you're right here with friggin' Epstein. And then he's like, well, yeah, I take my my family vacation on Epstein Island. You know what I mean? So it's just like, damn, man. Disgusting level of corruption. Epstein's personal assistant just named names in front of Congress. We talked about that yesterday. We do have the names today. Sarah Kellen testified that former Miami Beach Mayor Philip Levine, celebrity hairstylist Frederick Fekkai, and photographer Patrick Dim Archleller all sexually abused her. She also told the Oversight Committee that Epstein kept connections to Bill Clinton and Fidel Castro, among others. Well, we need to go ahead and invade Cuba over this. Right. Her words, she said, quote, "We victims never had a chance. This is the first time an Epstein victim has ever testified before Congress. Epstein is dead, allegedly. He didn't kill himself. Maxwell got 20 years. But the men who allegedly used this network are still walking free. And this testimony may be the first real crack in the wall." That's a report out of the Miami Herald. Here is who Epstein's longtime assistant accused of sexual abuse. It was these guys. Here's their photo. This is CNN, but here's their photos. From left to right, Frederick Fekkai, Philip Levine, and Patrick Dim Archleiter right there. I'm sure they're all part of that Democrat hoax as well. Here's a report about old Sarah Kellen.
I'm going to tell you today about one of the Epstein staff as listed in his controversial Florida plea deal. In a few short years, Sarah Kellen went from being a teen bride to flying in Epstein's jet with Bill Clinton. If there's one word that follows Sarah Kellen everywhere she goes, it's scandal. She was once Epstein's Palm Beach boss, one of the most powerful women inside his criminal operation. As a teenager, Sarah was expelled from the Jehovah's Witness Church. Soon after, her life took a sharp turn. At 18 years old, she married and moved from North Carolina to Hawaii. Her husband made musical instruments, but their marriage didn't last. They separated. After this breakup, Sarah lived with a much older man, a glamour photographer who ran a business called Art of Women. She modelled for him and remained financially dependent. A few years later, Sarah met a young woman with a job offer working for a billionaire, so she left Hawaii and met Jeffrey Epstein. According to court documents, Sarah Kellen worked as a part-time administrator, part-time recruiter, and is alleged to have been involved in the abuse. In fact, one New York judge said she was involved in sex trafficking. So this is where the questions begin. Over the years, Sarah Kellen has offered different explanations for her role within Epstein's organisation. In 2019, through a spokesperson, she said she was too abused by Epstein to speak. More recently, her narrative appears to have expanded, now including claims of cult influence and mind control. We found new clues through the online presence of her ex-husband, Brian Vickers, a 3-time NASCAR champion. His recently updated website highlights charities focused on justice, including one dedicated to cult awareness, the Foundation Against Cult Threats. Sarah has lived under many names: Sarah Bonk, Sarah Kensington, Sarah Kellen, Sarah Vickers. She attended a mainstream school but was homeschooled in her final year. She married very young. She lived with that older photographer and later became central to Epstein's operation. He couldn't have done it without her. So who is Sarah Kellen? I need you to tell me. A victim or a woman who made terrible choices or someone far more complicit? This was Sarah Kellen, part 1.
We'll keep following this as it develops. They're launching the Epstein Files bookmobile. What are they calling it? We're launching the Trump Epstein bookmobile. And so this defiance.org/bookmobile. They're launching this project. Thumbnail for the show today. The Donald J. Trump Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Reading Room there. And they say we're launching the Trump Epstein bookmobile, and they're looking for donations. The Epstein Files exposed Donald Trump for who he really is. He tried to suppress them and hide his corruption, but we won't let him. We're putting the files on the road, and you can help. Trump wants it covered up. We're putting it on wheels. In May, a pop-up museum opened up in New York City. We reported on that a few days ago, right? The Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Reading Room, drawing global headlines for making all 3.5 million Epstein files available in print, and they're holding on to a whole bunch more of them. Now we're taking the files nationwide to honor survivors, hold Trump accountable, and keep the dark truth in the light. The mobile reading room will feature curated volumes of the partially redacted files, a timeline of the Trump-Epstein relationship, and a tribute to the more than 1,000 victims and survivors. Help us get on the road. They're looking for donations to get that project going there. If you're interested, link will be at Weaponized News Substack channel there, or go to defiance.org/bookmobile. Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted on 5 counts of sex trafficking. She was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. She's the only person ever convicted in regards to Epstein crimes. Her release date is July 17, 2037, but we're lobbying for Trump to go ahead and give her a pardon, because screw justice in America, right? Here's she's talking about Palmieri here. Tara Palmieri saying that they've only released 1%. I don't know. I've seen different estimates out there, but the Department of Justice is definitely covering up the Epstein files, 100%. Believe that. But the Dow's over 50K, so I guess we should not care.
See in the files that his pilot tells him, I got these cameras, they're so small, I can put them in the Kleenex boxes so no one can see them. And we know that they're sitting on 40 gigabytes of files.
Yeah.
What could 40 gigabytes be other than video, right?
So
And we've only seen 300 megabytes. We've seen 1% of the Epstein files.
Yeah, no, you can't say, there's no question. You can't say that we can't show you the information because it was a national security issue and then tell us it's not a national security issue. You can't have it both ways. Obviously, he was involved in national security. Obviously, he was intelligence. Anyone saying otherwise is a giant liar. And why they're lying is super interesting. But look, I'll tell.
Said he works for Rothschilds multiple times in the emails. So he works for the Rothschilds. The Dow's over 50K though. I mean, so who cares about all the abuse that half of Trump's administration's in the Epstein files? The Dow's over 50K. So where's Pam Bondi hiding out now? We're waiting for her testimony to the House Oversight Committee. But hey, the Dow closed today, record high stock market. We can't afford to eat, but yeah. The Dow closed, Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at 50,585. Wow, wonderful. The Epstein files cover-up continues by the Department of Justice. And she's saying 1%. We only got 1%. I don't know. I seen other people saying maybe. I saw 6, 1, 6, 10. I don't know. But conservative estimate, we got 10%, let's just say. And they're still holding on to 90% of the Epstein files. Again, conservatively speaking, it's probably even more than that. All right, let's take our live commercial break, and then we'll get into the economic section of the show here. Thank you, everybody for joining us on this Friday before Memorial Day weekend. Appreciate you guys on this Friday joining us. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com/shop. Get yourself a holograph sticker. We got a white background sticker, and we have a clear sticker there. weaponizednews.com/shop. The link's in the description below this video. We take donations, buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet address, Cash App. Links are all in the description below this video. Go to weaponizednews.com, PayPal, donation button right there on the front page. Patron the store, give us a donation, become a paid subscriber on Weaponized News Substack. I give away everything free, nothing behind a paywall. Some stuff has to be on other channels due to censorship, but everything's out there free. All of our work on a Weaponized News Substack. You get the whole show there. You get a summary of the show, and you get all the links to almost everything we talk about. It's all free. Show your appreciation for our efforts. Support independent reporting and analysis. Brought to you 5 days a week, broadcasting live. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern time, weaponizednews.com/shop. Become a paid subscriber on Weaponized News Substack. Any which way you choose to support us is much appreciated. Give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. We covered quite a bit of news there in the first hour, commercial free. I got to start doing commercials every 15 minutes or at least half hour. I don't know. I got to figure out something because I don't see anybody else out there doing all of this news coverage with commercial free, and the large majority out there plugging some BS. I'm my own store. I'm not selling you any health supplements like the large majority out there. I'm not trying to sell you gold. I'm selling you Weaponized News products. We are our own sponsor. Try to sell you some accounting services. Also our own sponsor, Abazaba Enterprises, but weaponizednews.com/shop. You guys know, you watch other shows. You see what people are doing. I'm not doing any of that. We are truly independent here at Weaponized News. And I know our listeners appreciate it. And I appreciate your support. And we did get a donation yesterday through Buy Me a Coffee. And it was anonymous. So whoever you are out there anonymously that gave us that donation through Buy Me a Coffee, thank you very much. I do appreciate it sincerely. But we need more help over here, obviously. We're growing, though. We are growing, thankfully, enough on the YouTube, on the Rumble. We're shadow banned and censored in oblivion on the X, but these other channels and even Facebook, for whatever that's worth, there still are a lot of users on Facebook. Surprisingly enough, I don't know how people can even use it, but I guess they're on their phones. Since I'm like old and I'm on the PC, I'm on my phone a little bit on X, but scrolling, the doom scroll, right? Scroll on your phone. Apparently, a lot of people are doing that, and that's how we're picking up new viewers. However you choose to view the show, on your phone, on your desktop. We're still doing the thing over here on broadcast television to tell you the efforts I'm putting forward here to try to get people this information that you're not hearing in many other places. We're still broadcasting on Access Television here in Fresno, California, Fresno CMAC. Okay, so I'm doing everything I can to get the word out here now and try to inform the public and give you valuable content that you can use in your life. All right, enough plugging. Thank you for all the supporters and viewers out there. Give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Thank you very much. All right, welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Friday, May 22nd, 2026 edition. Thank you for joining us. All right, let's get into the economy. This is a crazy story. The steroid Olympics are now, apparently they've come online. Welcome to the enhanced games where doping is encouraged. The enhanced games are here to destigmatize conventional wisdom about performance-enhancing drugs. Don't do drugs, kids, legal or illegal. Don't do their drugs. But let's take a listen to this report about the essentially steroid Olympics. Pretty wild.
Enhanced, a company trying to build what it calls a performance enhancement platform, is behind the controversial enhanced games concept where athletes are openly allowed to use performance enhancing.
Catch that. Pro doping sports startup backed by Peter Thiel. Of course, because everything that's just makes your skin crawl, this guy's freaking backing it. You know what I mean? And just like, that ain't right. But yeah, it is, because Peter Thiel said so. He was lecturing about the Antichrist, so he does care about humanity, obviously, and he's brought the steroid Olympics to us. Thank you very much, Mr. Technocracy, Peter Thiel.
Drugs in the competition. Company is also making its public debut now at the New York Stock Exchange. This competition. It's coming up later this month, as I understand it, in Vegas, right? Where you're going to allow the athletes. You're going to allow the athletes, Max, openly, right, to take these performance-enhancing drugs. How come, Max? Why? What's the point and purpose of this?
Look, as you know from every sports, it's been going on for decades, whether it's baseball, whether it's the Olympics. Athletes have been cheating left, right, and center. There's actually research that shows that 43% of Olympian athletes admit to using banned substances, but only 1% is getting caught. So you ask yourself, how is it possible that basically every other athlete is getting away with cheating? The reason is, those athletes that cheat, they take newly developed drugs that are not well researched, and they take additional drugs on top of it to hide what they're taking in the first place. That maybe lets them circumvent the testing, but the price they need to pay is their health. But that's completely unnecessary, because all of the drugs that make you perform better, recover quicker, and protect yourselves better from injuries are actually FDA-approved drugs that doctors prescribe to patients every single day. Look at Hollywood. All of the actors are openly enhanced. Look at some of the best...
Again, don't do their drugs, legal or illegal. Especially illegal, right? Because they'll throw your ass in prison and it ruins your life. But don't do their legal drugs either here now. Poison.
Executives in the world, they're openly enhanced. Why take away those benefits from the people that need it the most? Elite athletes that have the most taxing job on their bodies from all of us. And so this is why we're saying, let's not be naive and pretend it's not happening. Let's take what's happening in the shadows, put it out in the open, put the right clinical and medical supervision in place to make sure that the athletes that choose to do it, which is very important, athletes don't need to, they can choose to do it, and if they do so, they can do it safely. That's why.
What kind of drugs are we talking about, Max? Like, what are some possible examples?
Yes, so there's 4 main categories of athletes that the athletes are taking. One is, for example, anabolic steroids, including testosterone, esters, etc. Another category is metabolic and hormone regulators. Then you have approved peptides and also stimulants, like, for example, Adderall. But these are the main 4 categories. But what is important is that every athlete's protocol.
They're on steroids and freaking and amphetamines. Like, wow, you're a great athlete. Wow.
Is highly personalized to themselves. Highly personalized means, first of all, who are you as an individual? Some people might like milk, others are lactose intolerant. That's the first layer. The second layer is, which event are you doing? Are you running the marathon or are you running the 100-meter sprint? Depending on which event you have, the protocol is different to help you become the best at that. And that's how the protocols get personalized for the athletes across those 4 main categories. And this is exactly the same approach that we're replicating to the general consumers as well through our Live Enhanced platform.
You know, Max, some people, they may watch sports sometimes, Max, professional sports, right? Or these big competitions, because in part they sort of like watching athletes get busted. Like, they like to watch the folks who get busted for cheating. It kind of becomes its own story. It adds drama to the whole narrative. What do you make of that?
Yes, obviously, I think it's terrible if people cheat. There are certain rules to be abided by. That's why they exist. If people step outside of that system, they've been cheating. They've been taking advantage of something that the honest competitors didn't do. We have athletes that are competing with us that stood at the Olympics on place 2, knowing and feeling that number 1 was cheating and taking advantage, but they didn't get caught. And so I appreciate that the drama should exist, because the people should be held accountable to the rules that they sign up for. If they don't agree with those rules, we are now building a completely new platform that operates under a different rule set, which I think has a very own right for its existence itself.
He said people are watching because they want to see him get busted for being on steroids. Like, what? That's pretty sketchy. But of course, it's the greatest thing ever. Peter Thiel's behind it. This freaking character right here. This character, Kevin Hassett, right? He's the NEC director, and he's always on your television with a shit-eating grin, lying through his teeth about the economy. Here he is praising Kevin Warsh. He's in the Epstein files, and his father-in-law Lauder's the head of the World Aardvark Council. It's just, man, these guys are so dirty. They're dirty as the day is long.
I went back, and I know you guys did, and I read just his testimony at his confirmation hearing, and I just agreed with everything that he said.
You disagreed with everything?
I agreed with everything. I just agreed. The idea that the Fed...
He can't even keep his lies straight, man. And that Cheshire cat shit-eating grin this dude always has makes me want to throw up. He's a liar, con man, like the whole crew of the Trump administration.
Fed has lost its way a little bit, that it's sort of lost track of its mission. It's doing DEI stuff and climate change and all that kind of stuff. And
that's yesterday.
And I think that he wants to restore Fed independence by returning to its roots. I was there at the Fed working when Alan Greenspan made sure that we were focused like a laser beam on monetary policy, on the dual mandate, and sort of shut up about everything else. And I think that Kevin's going to do a great job. He's going to.
These guys are such frauds. End the private central bank. All right? America will never be free until we end the Federal Reserve and put the issuance of currency and credit back under the Treasury Department as is constitutionally mandated until 1913 when they passed the Federal Reserve Act. It's absurd. These bankers are straight up criminals, stealing from our children's future, stealing from us right now. Literally, the inflation is a hidden tax. That's an economic fact. But they keep the large majority of America economically ignorant. Disgusting. They're all cheering it on. These people are stealing from our future, literally. Okay, here's a swearing-in ceremony of Kevin Warsh. Corrupt as they come.
Unfortunately, in the eyes of many, the Fed lost its way in recent years. It became distracted by concerns far removed from its core mission and mandate, drifting into matters such as climate policy and DEI initiatives, with the Fed straying from its mandate while the last administration blew out the deficit. Americans suffered the worst inflation that we had in history. It was the worst inflation we've ever had. As you know, there's some people say you're wrong about that. It was only in 48 years.
It's because he shut down the economy for Operation Warp Speed, man.
But I think 48 years almost sounds worse. The worst inflation we've ever had, so it made it very difficult. Kevin has spoken often about the need to restore the Fed's integrity by returning to a proper focus on its two functional and really fundamental responsibilities: maintaining price stability and low inflation, and achieving full employment.
And they failed at that since 1913. It just pisses me off, man.
And we talk.
This right here shows you Trump is a fraud. If he was the real Mr. America populist, then again, he would march down to the Federal Reserve and arrest them with the U.S. Marshals and arrest the executives of all major banks. He doesn't do that. He's part of the con. Wake up, or grow up, actually, or read a freaking book about the Federal Reserve and educate yourself on our monetary policy in this country, for God's sake.
About it. We've talked about it often. And right now we have the most people working in the United States than we've ever had. We have never had as many people working right now in the United States. And it's something that I like to say, and it's been pretty much that way ever since I've been president. When I go back to the...
What is this? What is he talking about? The economic data, jobs numbers that the government releases, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, go back to Biden even before that, it's all rigged. They always over-report it to manipulate the market and then revise it down. And we've never had more people not even looking for work in that are of age to be a part of the workforce. It just sucks. It pisses me off, the lies here.
The first term, I had those numbers too, and I kept them. And we've done things that are really amazing, but we can bring it to a new and higher level with Kevin. I think we can bring it to a level that nobody ever thought possible.
New level of stealing from us.
By following through on this vision, Kevin will restore confidence in the Fed, which is so important and among Americans all across.
I don't even know. If you have confidence in the Fed, you have brain damage. Maybe take another miracle from Trump.
Across the political spectrum, and people from all over the world, and they're going to be looking to Kevin, probably and possibly more than any other person that's had your esteemed position before. I think that's true, Kevin. You got a lot of people watching.
It's not an esteemed position. It's the top con criminal in the freaking country. The top economic terrorist is the chairman of the Federal Reserve.
I fully expect that with the greatest Fed chairs before him, Kevin will safeguard the Fed's integrity. They'll make their own decisions and hopefully make them well. But they'll be listening to Kevin all the way. I really believe that. Even if they're from a somewhat different persuasion, they're going to be listening to him out of respect. Because
it's bullshit. They're all central bankers. They don't give a damn about your politics. Alan Greenspan said that the Federal Reserve is above government.
Everybody respects him. Thankfully, unlike some of his predecessors, Kevin understands that when the economy is booming, it is that's a good thing.
The Federal Reserve creates artificial boom and bust cycles to profiteer.
We don't have to go crazy. Just let it boom. We want it to boom. We want it to be like nobody has ever had before, because we do have some debt we'd like to take care of. And the way you do that is through growth. We're going to grow our way out of it so fast. And Kevin's somebody, and I feel strongly also, we don't want to see it stifled. We want to stop inflation, but we don't want to stop greatness. And so that's really a very good thing, a very positive thing, and that's what he's looking to do. He's looking to do positive economic growth. It's so important. And as we discussed,
how are you going to square this circle? Because the Fed's policy, when there's too much money out there, they say that's causing inflation. Their answer is raise interest rates to pull the money back in. Trump says he wants low interest rates. You can't square that circle. Okay, so Trump with a bullshit rhetoric, again, talking out of this side, that side, and his rear end of his mouth and his rear end, full of shit. It pisses me off just the level of lying here. And I guess the large majority of America are economically illiterate, and they don't even understand any of this. A failing of our education system.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
They're laughing because it is laughable at this point. Like the Federal Reserve gives a damn about the U.S. Constitution, or any of these clowns for that matter.
All enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge.
The duties of the office on which I'm about to enter.
The duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Yay! Your children have no economic future. Yay! I mean, it's beyond the pale of disgusting. Yay! Another criminal banker is running our economy and setting monetary policy. Yay! It's just beyond words. Why the hell's gas so high? Here's Trump again bragging about we stole all Venezuela oil. Rockefeller oil oligarchs are obviously price gouging the hell out of us. Trump doing jack about it, laughing in the back room with them about it.
Really not bad. That's why he's. You know, we've taken out so much oil in Venezuela, we paid for the cost of the war about 25 times over. When did you hear that last?
Look at the price of freaking gas, you fool. Beef prices soar as Americans prepare for Memorial Day cookouts. And just another one of these reports. Yeah, all your staple goods here, meats, ground beef, steaks, briskets, all expected to cost more this year, prompting most shoppers to look for cheaper deals. So I guess eat silicon microchips. I was thinking about, I got an old laptop. I'll probably take it apart this weekend and start eating some of the microchips. What else here? Yeah, pork, chicken, sausages, plant-based protein. They're still trying to sell that shit. Nobody wants that shit. The Bill Gates, I forget even the stupid name of it, but nobody wants your plant-based protein cooked up in a lab, fake meat. But hey, they're going to make real meat so expensive, we don't have a choice. Eat your Hebrew crickets, right, Snow? And your friggin', and eat some lab-grown fake meat. It's just, wow. Continuing here. Consumer sentiment hits fresh record low in May as Iran war fuels inflation worries. That's a report out of CNBC. They're always pumping, right? How wonderful it all is. But yeah, consumer sentiment index is down. Here's their little chart here. You can see it's falling off a cliff. So yeah, went up a little bit there. Yeah, and we're way down to here now. Way below even recession levels. Look, here's the recession of the bat times, right? But then they never even technically called it a recession. Remember that whole game? They changed the definition of what a recession is. I guess it all depends on what your definition of is, a la Bill Clinton. But then, yeah, now we're down to here. So it's certainly appearing, according to the economic data and just go shopping, and you can, according to prices, the Republicans are going to lose the midterms in a landslide here now. And it's just barely getting started because the economy is a big, sophisticated machine. It takes a minute for things to run through it. So we haven't seen the worst of it yet here now. American college graduates are facing the worst entry-level job market since the bat times, with the underemployment rate reaching 42.5%, its highest level since 2020, according to a report out of The Guardian. Well, Trump just told us it's the greatest economy ever. Everybody's employed. Not so much. And so the youth, and there's a bunch of videos on the internet of these tech dudes giving the speech at the graduation. They're getting booed out of the room because the youth have been told, well, yeah, learn to code, bro. And you go to college or whatever their degree is in, right? You go to college and you do what they said you're supposed to do to be successful here in America. You get that higher degree. Oh, yeah, sorry, bro. There's no more jobs because AI took it. And there's no water or electricity for you either. And have fun trying to afford to put fuel in your vehicle to even go to work. But don't you worry, there's plenty of money for war. Here's a used car salesman, former Fox newsman, now Secretary of War. What do you do with a drunken Hegseth selling how great the $1.5 trillion investment in our military, rebuilding America's arsenal of freedom is going to be? It's a windfall for the military industrial complex.
To keep America safe in an increasingly dangerous world, we cannot rely on the weapons of the past. We have to build.
Really? I got to look at that again. You got to be friggin' kidding me. Look at it. There's a Al-Qaeda that we set up, Western intelligence created this guy on the roof, by the way. But this is clown world. It's unbecoming of asking for $1.5 trillion. That's for sure. Now we can't even get it to play. What's a buffer here? It's ridiculous. Let's play it again, Sam. Here we go.
Safe in an increasingly dangerous world, we cannot rely on the weapons of the past. We have to build the weapons of the future. For 4 long years under Joe Biden, this department chronically underinvested in our military technology, while our adversaries aggressively modernized theirs. Under President Trump, that era of complacency is over. With his $1.5 trillion military budget, we are awakening the sleeping giant and building America's arsenal of freedom. First and foremost, we are defending the homeland. We're funding the Golden Dome, a next-generation multi-layered missile shield over the United States. It will protect our communities from airborne threats and ensure that America will never be held hostage by foreign powers. Second, maritime.
They're still calling Khomeini gay. You see that his little rainbow pin there?
Dominance. We're talking about control of the seas. The new budget allows us to supercharge our neglected shipyards, transforming them into unstoppable engines of American industrial might. These modernized shipyards will rapidly churn out brand new ships that will form the Golden Fleet, ensuring our naval superiority in any sea, now and into the future. Third, we're making a record-breaking investment in drones, lethal ones, to dominate the battlefield of today and tomorrow. This allows us to unleash massive swarms of autonomous drones that will fly and fight right alongside our manned 6th-generation fighter, the F-47, while our next-generation bomber, the B-21, soars overhead, capable of penetrating the toughest defenses and delivering precision strikes anywhere in the world. Fourth, the future of warfare, it's here. and it's spelled AI. We're funding advanced cyber operations and artificial intelligence to crush our enemies' networks before they can even strike. And by making the largest ever investment in the Space Force, we will lead the world in capabilities beyond our atmosphere. By the way, this Pentagon, President Trump's Pentagon, is making a historic commitment to passing a full financial audit. The arsenal of freedom will be done fiscally responsibly.
I'll believe that when I see it, bro. Call me skeptical. Oil prices will jump next week if no agreement is reached between the U.S. and Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. That's market analysis out of Gas Buddy. And then let's take a look at AAA. It went down almost a cent today, so there you go. We're in the golden age again, bro. Here's the AAA national average for the price of a gallon of gasoline. It went down less than a cent, almost a cent there, you could see from yesterday. Yesterday was $4.56, and today $4.55 there. I don't see how Republicans win the midterms with this price of fuel, honestly. And then, of course, one of our favorite trackers is the Brown University Watson School of International and Public Affairs. Let's take a look at the burden. It grows every day on the U.S. household for the cost of fuel, gasoline, and diesel. So we're up to now $344.85 per U.S. household across both gasoline and diesel. And then total burden since the war has started, this thing's certainly starting to look like the national debt clock, isn't it? Yeah, we're up to $45.2 billion in total consumer burden since the start of the war on February 28, 2026. Saudi Arabia expands Red Sea shipping routes amid Hormuz disruptions. Saudi Ports Authority has launched a new shipping service connecting the ports of Jeddah, Salah, and the Djibouti with a capacity of 1,730 standard containers, according to Saudi State TV. The service is aimed at strengthening maritime trade links between the kingdom and global ports. The move comes as Saudi Arabia accelerates alternative Red Sea shipping corridors amid disruptions tied to the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Earlier this week, Mawani also launched the, quote, Red Sea Express route linking Jeddah, Yanbu with Egypt's and Shaqan and Jordan's Aqaba. So they're trying to do a workaround there to keep some oil moving, but you're definitely not going through the Strait of Hormuz, with very few ships passing through there now. The U.S. has paused a planned $14 billion arms sale to Taiwan, according to Navy Secretary Hung. China will remain an incomplete superpower until it can catch up with U.S. financial might. Headline out of Fortune magazine. Well, yeah, as long as the U.S. dollar is the world's reserve currency, we do hold on to that financial hegemony here now. I hope when the dollar finally loses its world reserve currency status, I hope the next currency has that pyramid with the all-seeing eye on it as well, right? Sure. But the central banks all laugh about it. I saw one there's currency from Ukraine. It doesn't have that exact pyramid with all-seeing eye, but it's got pyramids. A bunch of these currencies, they all laugh about it. It's a joke to them. Okay, let's read this big statement again via Simon. When was their big meeting? Was like 2 days ago. Russia and China, Xi and Putin. Let's read this statement here now. It's not that long. I'll try to blast through it. And again, to get this, you had to go to Telegram, the official Russian channel here, and then you had to get the link and go to the Russia Kremlin.ru, and then you had to translate it into English. And so that's how we got all of this via Simon, following all this very closely. Joint declaration of the Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China on the formation of a multipolar world and international relations of a new type. You can see that came out 2 days ago. They published this after their meeting. Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China, hereinafter the parties being civilizations with ancient history, the countries, the founders of the United States, the United Nations, and permanent members of its Security Council, important centers of force, a multipolar world that plays a constructive role in maintaining a global balance of forces and the improvement of the system of international relations, guided by the ideas of the Russian Chinese, the joint declaration of the multipolar world and the formation of a new international, the joint declaration between the Russian Federation of April 23rd, 1997, the People's Republic of China on the International Order of, and they write their date weird, the 21st century, July 1st, 2005 joint statement by the Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China republics on the current situation in the world and important international problems of July 4th, 2017 joint statement of, and so it's all their statements leading up to this. This one right here, though, is important. Joint statement of the Russian Federation and People's Republic of China on international relations, entering into a new era and global sustainable development of February 4th, 2022, a la UN Agenda 2030, Goals for Sustainable Development, Global Governance, decrees the following. Since the end of World War II is accelerating changes in the international landscape and balance of power in the world. On the one hand, the wave of decolonization and the end of the Cold War led to a significant increase in the number of sovereign states in the world. The world community has become more multifaceted and complex. There was a rise in the level of development and international influence of the states of Asia, Africa, the Middle East, Latin America, and the Caribbean. Increased number of regional and inter-regional associations whose activities cover all spheres of international relations, from politics and security to the economy and humanitarian dimension. Their role in world affairs is steadily increasing. The interconnectedness and interdependence of the world have reached an unprecedented level in the history of mankind. Attempts at a series states to manage world affairs impose its interest on everything peace and limit the opportunities for the sovereign development of other countries in the spirit of the era colonialism has failed. The system of international relations in the 21st century is undergoing a deep transformation in an evolutionary way, moving to a long-term state of polycentricity and the formation of international A, new kind of relationship. Again, as we continue to report for years here, now we're in a new era, a new world order. Most of the stakes taking into account the historical experience gained deeply realized the onset of the new era and the need to follow the path of formation of a more cohesive international community, as well as mutual respect for the fundamental interest, equality, justice, and mutually beneficial cooperation without the division of the world on the opposing regions and blocks. With another, the situation in the world is becoming complicated. Such negative neo-colonial trends as the practice of unilateral, forceful approaches, hegemony, and bloc confrontation regularly flouts basic, generally recognized norms of international rights and international relations. It becomes more difficult for states to agree on their actions and resolve conflicts within the framework of global governance institutions, many of which loses effectiveness. The agenda of peace and development around the world faces new risks and challenges. There is a danger of fragmentation of international community and return to the quote law of the jungle. And we covered that where Xi was talking about that at the big meeting with Putin a few days back. Speaking of harmonious, the process of establishing an equal and orderly multipolar world and international a new type of relationship, including a more equitable and rational system, the parties undertake and call on the international community to adhere to the following basic principles among themselves. Number one, principle of openness, a world for inclusive and mutually beneficial cooperation. It is important to overcome the separation, peace, and to promote the elimination of cross-border barriers in various fields, respecting the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and identity of all of sovereign states. There is no universal path of development in the world and does not exist. Countries and peoples of the quote first grade natural is such a diverse and complex. The world of distinction between states should not be an obstacle to the development of equal respect and mutually beneficial relationships between them. The choice of path and model of development must be respected. Every sovereign state, democratization of international political relations, and building a more open world economy meet the fundamental interests of all countries. Peace, unilateral approaches to solve common problems, hegemonism, and political coercion is any of their manifestations is unacceptable. Number two, the principle of indivisible and equal security formation, more the cohesive international community against the backdrop of growing common risks and challenges for humanity. It means that the security of one state cannot be ensured at the expense of the safety of another. All sovereign states have equal right to be safe. It is necessary to pay due attention to the rational concerns of all countries in the field of security, focus on security cooperation, reject the bloc confrontation and the zero-sum strategy to oppose the expansion of military alliances, quote, hybrid wars and wars by the hands to promote the creation of an updated, balanced, effective, and sustainable architecture of global and regional security. Disagreements, disputes should be resolved peacefully, eliminating the root cause of conflict. Unacceptable to force sovereign states to renounce neutrality. The number 3, the principle of democratization of international relations and improving of the system of global governance. All states and their associates are free in the choice of foreign partners and models of international interaction. Hegemony in the world is unacceptable and should be prohibited. No state or group states should not control international affairs, dispose of the destinies of other countries, and monopolize opportunities for development. The global system management and regulation should provide conditions for equal participation of all states in political decision making and receipt from this benefit. To continue improvement in the global management, an important tool for ordering the system of international relations must adhere to sovereign equality, the supremacy of international rights, multilateralism, human interest, and orientation result. To do this, it is necessary to strengthen the role of multilateralism as the main tool for solving multifaceted and complex global problems and prevent the weakening of the UN. Reform the UN and other national institutions should be in the interest of all humanity, consistently increasing the representatives and right to vote developing states in the international system. The Charter of the United Nations is the fundamental norm of international relations, and its principles are respected in their entirety and interconnected. Developed in a narrow circle, states' rules should not replace the generally recognized international law. Large states should assume a special responsibility, a mission, make additional demands on themselves, and not abuse their advantages. Number 4, world civilization and value diversity. All human civilization are self-valued and equal. Civilizations are not divided into highly developed and underdeveloped, strong and weak. The spiritual and moral system of no civilization can be regarded as an exceptional or superior to others. All countries should advocate for commitment to a view of civilization based on equality, exchange of experience, dialogue, strengthening mutual respect, understanding, trust, and exchanges among different nationalities and civilizations, mutual understanding and friendship of the peoples of all countries to protect the diversity of cultures and civilizations, resolutely oppose the use of human rights as a pretext for interference in the international affairs of other states, as well as the politicization and toolkit of human rights issues. Religion is an important conductor of human culture, which plays a special role in building ties between peoples, and all states should create favorable conditions for inter-religious dialogue and exchanges. The parties will continue to develop a shared vision, the formation of a multipolar and more equitable international relations, a new type. And that's all of that communique out of the meeting there between Putin and Xi that happened a few days ago. Thank you for bearing with me. We had to put that on the record there, where we're at with all of this. One world government, global. You see backhandedly, they called out the U.S. global hegemony a few times in there, and many different U.S. actions. neocolonialism. So, yeah, that's where Russia and China are. We didn't see a mention of the Greater Eurasian Partnership, but that is also working as well in the background. Keep that in mind as we move forward here now. Russia bad, Putin bad, YouTube. Ukraine did launch a major attack on Russia. State of emergency declared in Russia, LPR, after Ukraine's deadly attack on a school, which killed 6 and injured 39. Search and rescue missions are ongoing. 15 Russians are reported missing. Here's some video of that attack, and it's got Putin all pissed off. So there's rescue crews looking for some bodies in the rubble. Putin has accused Ukraine of committing a, quote, terrorist act after an overnight drone on a school killed at least 6 and injured 36. He asked the defense ministry to prepare for retaliation. So it's horrible. Ukraine went and whacked their school. Now Russia's going to go whack them. And it's horrific. Stop it. Peace, bro. Peace. Yeah, Putin's all pissed off about this. Putin holds Security Council meeting after Ukraine bombed school, dorm. He's calling them terrorists. And so, yeah, you're going to see Russia bomb the hell out of them again, continually here now. It's horrific. In the war. Peace, bro. Where's Trump? He said he would. This war would have never started if Trump would have won 2020. And as soon as he campaigned on elect me, and I'll have that war, Russia-Ukraine, which is a U.S. proxy war via Ukraine against Russia. He said, I'll have that ended in 24 hours. No, they're still bombing the hell out of each other, killing innocent people, and blowing up each other's energy infrastructure as well. It's horrific. Horrific. So look for a major Russian attack on Ukraine coming up here. Here's the aardvark community needs to use psychological warfare and psyops to get people to support Zionism. So, yeah. Or they're going to do U.S. Department of War. Support us or we shoot you in the face. That's basically where we're at now. Here they are talking about it.
One of the things I say briefly in the book is that what we've all been up against over decades is nothing short of psychological warfare. Now, the Jewish community leadership, both in the diaspora and in Israel, doesn't think like that. It doesn't think that in order to fight psychological warfare, you have to use psychological warfare. There are plenty of people in this country who, well, not plenty, but there are some who are experts in what's called psyops. They should be used. They could be drawn upon. These are reservoirs of talent and skill that could be used and harnessed to really make a difference. You have to have people who understand the nature and extent and dimensions of the challenge and who are prepared to buck all the conventional wisdom of all the community leaders who have led us into this appalling situation of being relatively undefended for decades.
That was Zionist activist Melanie Phillips. There's no aardvark conspiracy. Let me tell you, they just have meetings where they talk like this, like every other day, every freaking day. According to Aardvark newspaper Haaretz, it did an investigation and has uncovered a secret surveillance unit operating within Aardvark Land Education Ministry, whose apparent goal is to silence teachers who criticize the government. But we're told it's only democracy there in West Asia, and it deserves our undying support. Internal documents revealed that the unit headed by former Shin Bet International Security Service operative has been compiling detailed files on educators. That's aardvark teachers in aardvark land. That's called democracy, bro. Monitoring their social media posts, protest participation, and political statements. One such file, 14 pages long and marked as an international document, tracked a school counselor named Yoran Avni at the Democratic, that's funny, at the Democratic school in Hod Hasran. The file was compiled around the time of the mass protests against the government's judicial overhaul, during which Avni, like many aardvarks, publicly expressed opposition to the government's policies. The investigation suggests that it is not an isolated incident, but part of a broader systemic effort to monitor and intimidate, quote, left-wing and Arab educators. The mechanism was never intended to become public, indicating it operated in secrecy within the ministry's bureau. And so, yeah, there you go. The greatest democracy there, or the only one, they tell us, is spying on its own people. And if you're against the tyranny of the government, you're bad and put on a list, and you'll probably get a visit from a Palantir. You know what I mean? They know there is no limit to the depravity of the aardvark. A 24-year-old aardvark man was arrested at Urkan Airport in northern Cyprus after airport security found 4 human embryos in a cryogenic life pack container in his luggage. He was bound for Mexico via Istanbul, Turkey. He was charged with illegally transporting human cells, tissue, and reprimanded into custody. Report out of Ynet News. And who knows what crazy experiment they were going to do with these embryos. Netherlands, we may have to, do a bombing campaign against the Netherlands now. Netherlands approves ban on goods from illegal aardvark land settlements in occupied Palestinian territories. The Dutch government has approved a measure banning trade in goods originating from illegal aardvark land settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories, including the occupied West Bank, occupied Syrian Golan Heights, according to local aardvark land reports there. Dutch Prime Minister said the move is aimed at increasing pressure on the government of aardvark land over violations of international law and the humanitarian situation in Gaza. The ban currently applies only to goods, while broader restrictions on services and investments remain under review. Dutch officials said they will seek coordination with other European countries, including Belgium, to strengthen enforcement. That's a report out of the cradle. So it looks like we may have to go ahead and bomb Netherlands and probably Belgium too here now. Aardvark lands on a killing spree of paramedics and rescue workers, as we continue to report here now. Out of Drop Site News, Aardvark land has killed 120 rescue workers, damaged 16 hospitals, and targeted over 130 ambulances in Lebanon since March 2nd, since the ceasefire, bro. They've been blowing the hell out of all of their public health infrastructure for emergency response. Like, you get shot, you may need some medical care. You know what I mean? You get blown up like this. Nah, there is no medical care because they're systematically taking it out. They whacked a bunch of paramedics. Here they are. To humanize them. Lebanese paramedic. Amid Hari Rari. Gone. He's a beloved journalist and paramedic and a friend of Courtney Barn knew there. She posted this. So, yeah. He even had the safety vest on. Probably made him a better target for these genocidal murderers. Yeah. Oh, he's helping this disabled kid? Well, now no more because he's tragically enough no longer with us. Aardvarkland attacks kill. We're well past 3,000 dead Lebanese now. The death toll's up to 3,111 dead Lebanese since March 2nd, including 123 healthcare workers. The Lebanese Ministry of Health reported that Aardvarkland attacks between March 2nd and March 22nd have killed 3,111 people and wounded 9,432 Lebanese, with 22 killed and 35 injured in the past 24 hours. The ministry's figures show a systemic targeting of medical infrastructure. Indeed. So, yeah. And this one is, here's, let me fast forward a little bit in this video. Footage shows the moment 3 paramedics are whacked. They're in southern Lebanon. Take a look. They go over there and they're like, yeah, let's try to help these guys. And Aardvarkland says, this is what you get for helping.
يا ويلاه جرحت بنتي بإيدها جرحت بنتي بإيدها قلت لهم الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر راحوا الإسعاف راحت الإسعاف الله أكبر ضربتهم للإسعاف الله أكبر يا ويلي مات.
There you go. Whack those dudes. Paramedics trying to help other injured Lebanese. You got whacked too. And now Aardvark settlers and soldiers celebrate the return of Aardvarkland military units. Screened footage of the destruction and bombing of entire villages in southern Lebanon as cheers and laughter could be heard from the crowd. Let's watch this clip. This is the mindset. And remember, they're running genocide tourism. They're running that when they were. They probably still are. I don't know. They like to go see the suffering Palestinians when they were doing the heavy bombing campaigns. They were selling tickets, and you could watch Palestinians be blowing up from afar. Hezbollah's not doing nothing. Hezbollah today, in the last 24 hours, has announced 8? They say 4, 8, a bunch of different operations, like over a dozen, apparently. Counterattacks here now, defending southern Lebanon. So that's going on. And that big Aardvark commander, we reported on, they seriously injured him. And so both sides, but obviously the Lebanese are suffering a lot higher casualty and injury rate and displacement, as over 1 million Lebanese have been ethnically cleansed essentially off their land. And we're at 3,111 dead Lebanese since March 2nd. Quite horrific. We may have to go ahead and I don't know, bomb Germany. Take a look at this. We can't have this sediment coming out of these Nazis in Germany. Settler violence in the West Bank is at unprecedented levels. That's Prime Minister Merz. He says, together with the UK, France, and Italy, we call on the government of Aardvark land to end its expansion of settlements for a comprehensive and just peace on a two-state solution. Well, Smotrich already told us, and the rest of them, they said no. Now, so they're taking all that land, and yeah, it's empty words here now out of Germany because they're not going to do anything about it. But it's a nice sediment there, Merz. Sure. You're like, but they're still whacking the Palestinians. Well, yeah, they're not only whacking Lebanese, they're whacking Palestinians like every day. Palestinian author and journalist Masab Abdu Tuha documented at least 2 Palestinians killed and 5 others injured across Gaza earlier today. And so the genocide of the Palestinians continues amid a ceasefire. And now the horrific abuse here of the flotilla, the Samud flotilla activists for the crime of trying to deliver water and baby formula to starving Palestinians. Here's one of the activists that the Aardvark forces beat the hell out of.
For me it's hard because I know how they...
كان الأمر صعبا علي لأني أعلم كيف تعاملوا معي وتخيلوا كيف يتعاملون مع الشعب الفلسطيني. أنا مواطنة ألمانية وقاموا بضربي كل يوم ولم يقدموا لي الطعام أو الشراب ولم يكن...
Sorry, we didn't have an English translation there, but you can see she's laid up there seeking medical care. Looks like she had some kind of neck brace on. But hey, they're getting white girls. Take a look at this. Gaza Global Samud Flotilla activists arrived in Turkey in terrible condition after their severe abuse at the hands of Aardvark land forces during their abduction and imprisonment. Footage shows activists displaying severe marks of abuse sustained during their abduction and detention. One activist was seen removing a scarf to reveal injuries reportedly caused by their detention. A volunteer doctor who was on board the flotilla said the detainees were stripped and filmed naked during their imprisonment. They laughed all the time, super sadistic. Let's hear well, she's a ginger, so maybe, I don't know, isn't it a thing to hate gingers out there? I don't know, but maybe they got a pass because she's a ginger. I don't know, but pretty white looking to me.
I was illegally kidnapped by Israel, like 425 other people. We all were in detention, and they put handcuffs on my hands and on my feet. They dragged me, and when I couldn't walk anymore, they dragged me on the ground. They hit me. They hurt all of us a lot. They put the handcuffs so tight that my hands at some point lost feeling, and they laughed all the time. These people were super sadistic. They abused us, they mistreated and hit us, and they took pictures of us. They took off my shirt, and then they just kept on mistreating us all night long. My message to the world is shame on you, shame on all of you, shame on everyone who is silent about this, shame on every government that keeps on trading like Israel, including my own government. They keep on trading with Israel. Israel is the genocide. My government is complicit. The whole of Europe is complicit. The whole world is complicit. So my message to all governments is shame on you, and to all people is please stand up and make noise for Palestine, for all genocides around the world, because if we don't do it, no one else will do it. Like, if we don't go in the flotilla, the government won't solve it. No one will solve it. Only the people can solve it.
But Merz put out a strongly worded statement, right? More of the abuse here of these activists. I think we got one more. Yeah. One more. I think this guy was shot with rubber bullets.
I think my ribs are a bit full, but some Arabic people are looking like not white Europeans. We are much more bitter than Arabs, and they're more like stay on the list when we have Europeans and this.
What's your name and profession?
Okay, my name is Tortuga, and the speaker.
Can you show us the back? Just the back.
Gaza flotilla activists recount super sadistic torture, sex abuse during abduction by the aardvarks. International activists, yeah. Let's see. Survivors reported prolonged beatings, starvation, and degrading strip searches with reports of rape and sexual assault. Arriving in Istanbul, the activists bore clear signs of torture and mistreatment with swollen hands, broken bones, and severely bruised by violence. Footage, we showed you those footages capturing some of their injuries. Activists reported at least 15 cases of sexual assault, including rape, with one Brazilian activist who was among those illegally abducted in international waters, saying aardvark land forces raped activists both aboard the flotilla vessels and inside the prison facilities. Let's watch this clip.
That Israel was ready to escalate. The IOF were ready to escalate. They didn't need an opportunity. There was a woman that crossed the line that they had said nothing about, and she got shot with a rubber bullet for that fact. They were using any moment they could to use violence, even if it was pulling us from one place to another, trying to force us to fall. If somebody said free Palestine, they were very clear. You use words, we use guns. They said this to us repeatedly. We know that on one of the prison boats, as people were being brought into the open space, they were held in groups of 2 or 3 with about 5 commandos, brutalizing them, one by one, as people were entered into that container. We know on just one of the boats, in one of the sections, there were at least 15 cases of sexual assault that have been reported so far. There were over 30 broken bones, broken clavicles, broken ribs. We have people on their way to the hospital right now needing urgent care that was denied to them by the IOF. Repeatedly, as has happened before, we called for medical attention and they ignored us every time. It is unacceptable. And we need to make sure we are very clear that what we experienced was a tiny percentage of what Palestinians in Israeli prisons experience every single day. So if this can be a moment for us to make change, let's make change. Let's join together. Let's hold them to account, because this violence is nothing compared to what they do to our Palestinian comrades. So please, if this can be a lightning rod moment, let it be that. And let us actually, finally change the system and hold Israel to account. Sanction Israel, boycott, divest, anything and everything that we can do in every corner of the world. People can claim our power. It shows we can make a difference. When people stand up, use every opportunity you get to make a statement, to hold people to account. When we do this, change happens. So please join us wherever you are, and rise up so that we can end this occupation, end this colonialism, end this violence. And free.
Sound like terrorism talk to me. Yeah, she's lucky they don't whack her, honestly. But she said, they told her use words, we use guns. Yeah. Let's wrap up the show today. Here's a comedian, JP Spears, and then we'll we'll close out the show with this clip from him and take a look at the most recent headlines and get out of here on this Friday. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And wowzers. What a long week it's been here. And again, it's looking like there may be heavy attack on Iran by America.
This is a deceptive world. You got to be on the lookout, because if we're not careful, the U.S. could become an occupied nation. I mean, could you imagine if the Russians took over the U.S. or Muslims or some of them little Chinese fellas? I'm telling you, it could happen and people wouldn't even see it. I'm glad to see patriotism on the rise. I'm getting my 4th of July playlist ready. Do you know what Israel's national anthem is called?
Isn't it just Israel's national anthem?
Oh yeah, here it is. Ooh, it's time for Fox News. He's an anti-Semite.
He's a dog. What do you do?
He barked at my flag. I gotta call someone. No new wars. This is something different, my guy. Rapture, end times. Prophecies are unfolding. Yeah, hi, do you have room at your shelter? Okay, yeah, I'd like to turn in my dog. No, he didn't bite anyone. He did something worse. Mm-hmm. Do you euthanize? Well, can you? This Bible sucks. Do you have a Schofield reference Bible? Thank you. This one is much better. Wow, this is beautiful. We could use a data center here. End times are near. Did you hear Trump's approval ratings at 99%?
Where?
In Israel. Proves he's doing a great job for America. I love the new direction TPSA is going in. If Charlie Kirk was alive, I guarantee he'd be for war with Iran, and he'd be against Thomas Massey, his favorite congressman. And he wouldn't be friends with his friends Candace and Tucker, and he would have went back to pro-Israel causes that he turned his back on. To think he'd have the same views that he had when he was alive is totally naive.
I'm going to end it there. It goes on another 3 minutes, but yeah. Hashtag MAGA, hashtag winning. Let's take a look at Iran International headlines. Did we attack Iran during the course of the show? Iran downplays chances of deal despite Pakistani top general's arrival. Iran says excessive U.S. demands push the negotiations into free fall. Really? It says Ivanka Trump targeted for assassination in IRGC-linked plot. Iran war powers resolution would tie Trump's hands in crisis. Who said that? I got to see this. I'm just reading the headlines here. Dan Crenshaw. Eye patch Dan, right? McCain 2.0. Yeah. Not surprising there. Now, why have a constitution? You know what I mean? Why have checks and balances? Just have our dictator king Trump declare war with no check, as it says in the Constitution, right? Yeah. So these people are jokes. They're committing treason against the Constitution that they say they love so damn much. Well, how about you exercise your powers, Congress, and rein back in the executive? Because this is, I know we won the war 84 times. Khomeini's in charge, Strait is closed, and it's horrific. And the economy's in the tank. All right, Al Jazeera headlines here. U.S.-Iran diplomacy continues. They seem more optimistic, but significant differences remain. Yeah, Iran says the nuke program, we're not even talking about it. We're doing what we do, and screw you, basically, right? So, and Trump's freaking mockingbird talking point, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I thought we blew it up last June, bro. But Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, right? So that's where we're at. That's where we are at. Lebanese families face psychological terror amid Aardvarkland displacement threats. Yeah. They send out, they do warn them in some cases. They're like, hey, leave. We're demolition. We're bombing your whole friggin' neighborhood. You know what I mean? You have and they do, and a bunch of them, they do it in the middle of the night, 2, 3 in the morning. You know what I mean? 2, 3 in the morning, alert, alert, you're about to be bombed. It's just, yeah, pretty damn, I'd call that psychological terror. And then the real terror is they actually bomb them. I guess we should praise the Aardvarks for even giving them a warning. In many cases, there's no warning at all. So thank you, Aardvarks, for warning that you're going to murder everybody. All right, friends, that's all the reporting we got for today. Not much out of the UFO files. Second tranche, honestly. Trump's just disgusting beyond the pale, propping up the criminal Federal Reserve new chair, clapping it on. We're not growing our way out of this debt, bro. So, yeah. And everybody's finger on the trigger. Allegedly, Trump's not going to go play golf. He sucks at golf. You suck at golf, Trump. He's not going to get to play golf this weekend. Not going to get to go to his son's wedding, but he's already married. Some weird thing. I don't even care about that. But look for a potential strike here now on Iran over this Labor Day weekend while you're barbecuing the meat you can't afford. So, yeah. Awesome. All right, let me go over to the Odysee now. Take a look at that. Odysee still I guess we're streaming there, but it still is not, like, I can't click on the setup like I used to be able to before they did a bunch of updates over there. And yeah, it doesn't even look like, are we streaming on Odysee? I don't know. Guys. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I just had to refresh. Okay. We are on Odysee. Shout out to the Odysee chat. Thank you guys for tuning in over there. Huffman. What's Huffman say? He'd say I had a rope swing in the forest and fell off. Bollocks to Pac-Man. Highland. Shout out to Highland. I was more Missile Command. Aardvark Land always won. Huffman. LA has a chemical leak and it's going to explode. Loads evacuated. Hopefully it won't hit Fresno too hard. Well, thank you, Gur. Gur says that. I'm pretty far away from LA. Garden Grove chemical leak, apparently. Yeah, I'm pretty far away from that. I think we're okay here. Shout out to Highland. He says, if NASA could find my sock, I might believe them. What is up with that? Isn't there a sock conspiracy thing going on? How come I can never find, like, there's a bunch of mismatched socks in my laundry, and for some reason, like, they get eaten in the dryer or something. There's something going on with the sock conspiracy that I think we need a full $1 billion campaign funded by the government to look into the sock conspiracy. Why do they come up missing in the dryer sometimes? Anyhow, let's see. Danger says Zog. Look, aliens, Zog, rob us, future generations. Well, yeah. Well, doing the Epstein thing with the kids, yeah. But look at the aliens, bro. Telling you, man. Look at the aliens. Oh, we just put another criminal banker in. You know what I mean? That's like, wow. They say Chunk Yeager is a prick. I agree with you. I agree with you there. Who said that, Gurr? I agree with you there, Gurr. I played that clip for the woman, not for Chink Chirk. The Turks carried out the Armenian genocide. Yep, the Young Turks. Danger said, just the plan. It doesn't matter that we are struggling. All that matters is Iran doesn't get a nuke. That's right. That's right, Danger. All right, thank you guys for tuning in on the Odysee. Thank you for tuning in on Bitchute, Kick, X, YouTube, Substack, and Rumble. Let's go through some of these chats on the Rumble and YouTube. Shout out to Jimmy Mac on the YouTube. Shout out to Denver on the Rumble. Denver says the best straw man is he who doesn't understand he is a straw man. Yeah. Let's see who's Ham over there on the YouTube. What do they say? They say there will be no real escalation because the Gulf countries' oil and gas fields are a target. It feels like that's part of the agenda is to blow up energy infrastructure. Ham says, when America attacked Iran, oil, 15% of Qatar gas protection shut off. And still, yeah, we went through it at the time. All of the impacts there, all of the impacts on the attacks on all the different countries' energy infrastructure at the time when it was hot and heavy. Let's see, Jimmy on the YouTube says, I will laugh my ass off if they have to put $200 a week in an old truck after they were promised by their master there would be no more Middle Eastern wars. I hear you. Not really. It's not a laughing matter, but I hear you. I hear you, Jimmy. It's a sad state of affairs. Memorial Day at the pump. No high speed rail options. Are you in California, Ham? Yeah, we got nothing. You're walking. Ride a bike. Ride a bike, bro, for the environment. NASA looks like a bunch of goofballs. Flasher. Hell, they are, Matt. They are a bunch of goofballs. Deb says, London, UK in the house, watching this unhinged arm. Telling you, London. Telling you. Snow, be sure to hit the like. Thanks, Snow. Appreciate the promotion there in the chat. Snow says, I like the part where they AI generated a 3-legged astronaut in Artemis 2. Definitely real and true. Oh, man. Lutnick, the expert. Yeah. Lutnick, the Epstein space expert. The government is playing Hollywood now. Yeah, they probably always were. Howard, yeah. It's the next new scam. I'm telling you, they're freaking. Who knows how much money they're going to pour into fake data centers in space? It's going to be a $1 project, and Lutnick will profiteer handsomely. Believe it, know it, because that's exactly what they're doing. Because everything the guy's involved in is a scam, scheme, skim, con job. Trump's building a bunker on medical advice from Dr. No, Dr. Evil, and Dr. Strangelove. Pump says there on the YouTube. Yeah. Yeah. Max says, oh my God, it's the third temple. Yeah. Yeah. Ham says simply holding a top secret clearance does not grant access. You must also be formally read in and have validated mission specific need to know to view the material. Yeah, they got, yeah. National security, man, keeping us safe. Americans have to understand these super top secret documents are not accessible because of SAP system protocols. Yeah, you're not getting, that's why we're getting blurry images of dots that are maybe something. Yeah, we're not getting jack. Someone in the Pentagon has the receipts. I agree, but there's allegedly a whole giant secret space program, black budgeted, $1 billion budget that we don't even know about. What about those? What are they called? TR2s or something? The triangle. I believe those are real, and like some technology they're not telling us about. You know what I mean? So I do believe there is a secret space program going on with what they always say 40. They always say they're like 40 years ahead. They're probably like 100 years ahead now in the technology as compared to what they admit to the public is they can do. Right? What did Trump say? Or that one clip from what do you do with the drunken Hegseth selling the $1.5 trillion Department of War budget? He was saying that what was it, the B-20 whatever, the stealth one that's a model that's engineered after a bird, the B-27 or whatever it is. Forget even the name of it now, but you know the one I'm talking about. Allegedly, that's our most advanced craft, and we have stuff that, again, classified, right? The TR2 one, though, that triangle one, I believe that is human technology, and they are using it. Let's see. Jack on the YouTube says, if and when it happens, Jesus' true followers will be raptured. They will blame aliens. Don't take the mark of the beast. But will you take the brain chip, Jack? That's the real question. Denver says Lutnick, who acquired his home from Epstein and Wexner, but yeah, he's totally not a scumbag. Somehow, in Europe, at least he would have been shamed to resign. I would like to think. Here in America, it's no, on to the next scam. You know what I mean? It's just, it's quite a sight to behold the level of corruption here in our government. Sarah Connor, voice Schwartz, yeah. Denver said, yep. Denver says before shit hit the fan in 2000s and the Great Depression, immediately beforehand, the market reached all-time highs. All-time high on the Dow Jones Industrial Average today, right? So, yeah. They're pumping up. They are pumping up that bubble. Where are we at? Yeah, all the stocks closed good. The S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and gold and silver down, and Bitcoin down. So there you go. Yeah. Priming the pump, as they say. As they say. There you go, Denver. I know Denver's being sarcastic there. It's wild, right? The steroid Olympics. It's freaking wild. I know these people, they're going to have freaking heart. Their hearts are going to blow out. Adderall and steroids. Yeah. That's what they're saying. Like, dude, your heart's going to blow out. bro. Wild stuff. Snow says next year is going to be Memorial Day running from the from the T1000. Maybe may very well be aardvark bars. That's what you get to eat for Memorial Day. Aardvark bars. Says Snow. Garden Grove. They're talking about it over here too. I guess there was some kind of explosion there, or chemical leak explosion. Should we pull it up? Let's just search it real quick. Garden Grove, LA. Let's see, ANC News. Is there any news there? Yeah, Garden Grove gas leak. And so there was, what are they saying? Tens of thousands told to evacuate after a 34,000-gallon tank of chemicals was reported leaking there. So be safe if you're in Garden Grove, and maybe you do need to wear a mask in Garden Grove. Chloe on the Rumble said gas was $4.94, just went down to $4.83. Shout out to Ruckus. By the way, everybody tune in to the boiler room over there with Ruckus and crew. It may be on now, but it's going to be on very soon here. So go check out Ruckus over there. Shout out to A-Dub on the YouTube. Chloe says, think of something positive to report on, Sam. I did the steroid Olympics. That's very positive. Letting everyone compete, whether you're a drug addict or not. Oh my gosh. D2T. Shout out to D2T. Denver caught that. Shout out Denver. He watches the show. Thank you, Denver. Not a bike, a swift walker. I remember on this day in history when that was the original name of a bicycle, was Swift Walker. Mass plus acceleration equals energy, Jimmy said. And isn't everything energy? All right. Thank you for tuning in on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. As always, everybody do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Friday night. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. We'll be here on Monday. We're not taking Memorial Day off. And if it kicks off hot and heavy with Iran over the weekend here, over Saturday and Sunday, I may have to go live with a special report. So we're monitoring the situation, as they say here at Weaponized News. Thank you guys for tuning in. Give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Have a great weekend, and let's pray for peace.